works. If not, we'll just try it again. Alright, so this is a video meant to be for CDL ranked play. It's just my thoughts on a few things. Looks like it's giving me on my private match loadouts, which is fine. There's no bots in here. It's just me talking for however long this clock lasts. Okay. So there's no heads-up display or anything. You can see the mini-map, all of that. I'm not gonna. This isn't like this is the truth. I'm only a plat one player. I mean, I play with people that are better than me. I would say generally the way I conceive the game in my mind and what I think about is probably a better reflection of my highest level of skill versus like the way I perform in games sometimes sucks and the decisions I make are poor. But I think in general I have a pretty good conception of how things work. So feel free to respond however you want if you're seeing this. You can disagree with everything. You can feel personally attacked by something if you want. That's fine. Just let me know. Or you can be like, you know what, maybe that was helpful. Or I don't want to waste this much time listening to a video. Whatever works. Okay. So this is going to be sporadic because I didn't really think this through, so I'm just going to talk as I go. Which is great. This is the best way. You get all the thoughts out in the most raw way possible. Alright. Let's talk maybe controller hardpoint. Something where there's spawns and sites. So let's say for a second that I'm spawning in. Maybe this is like a mid gunfight, right? Let's say I've got a teammate maybe set up here in maps. Maybe I've got a teammate that's on truck for the first P1 hardpoint if it's in the middle of that time. And maybe I have somebody like here. If I'm spawning here, the first thing that I'm looking for, literally as I'm spawning in, and kind of the thing I'm anticipating while I'm watching the kill cam, is where am I going to spawn? Where do I think I'm going to spawn? And then once I do spawn in, I'm looking at where my teammates are right away. And if I can, sometimes it's hard to do, I try to figure out who is who, like instantly. So I look at the name and I figure out who is who, because if I'm playing with people that I have communication with, I want to be able to know where those comms are coming from. What sometimes can be difficult is if there's a player up like that far away in that building. You can't really, it's usually a smaller dot, so you don't really want to waste time scrolling over their dot to see who it is. But if it's somebody close, most of the time it's fairly obvious who they are. Or you may have just been playing with them in a building and they're probably still in that area, so you know their call-outs are in that space. The second thing I'm looking at as I'm giving calls is the kill feed, right? So I'm spawning in, I'm checking the kill feed to see, okay, did the guy that killed me kill anybody else? Is he murdered? Like, is that call now over so that I can play for something different? Those are the two things I'm looking at. Where my teammates are, what their names are, who's saying what, and what the kill feed is saying, right? If I see 3 or 4 reds on the kill cam, what I'm probably going to try and do, which means that 3 of my teammates are dead, is most likely there's one person up and I'm the only one currently spawned in that's not engaged in battle. I'm kind of still in the spawn. So if I just kind of run out of here and I just like bunny hop to the center, the enemy could have repositioned to top maps, bottom maps, single window, bottom art door. It could be closed, and they could even be running out from open to nerd. Or peeking me cannon, right? And because I have no intel, and this other person left alive is so focused because they're in a 1v3, theoretically, right? Because the other team's aware that they're last alive and might be playing for them. And mostly, you know, there might be a lot of, like, last one up is here calls. You really want to be careful with this life. Because what you're doing, if you die, is basically sealing the death of the person that's left alive, because then everyone for sure can refocus that last person up. And you're putting all the pressure on them to keep making plays, right? If I'm the last person alive and I'm in their spawn building, or I'm playing objective, and I keep seeing my teammates dying on the kill feed, that can be really discouraging if I'm playing hardpoint. And if I'm playing control, I'm basically doing two things by running into the open. I'm wasting a life, and I'm wasting time, right? Now I have to respawn and do the whole thing over again, and in that time, it's possible that my call for single window is my teammates running back out to see where I got killed from. Could be somewhere else, or there might be an additional person, and so then we lose that life, and lose more time, and there's frustration that builds. So if I identify that most of my team's dead, I listen to where those calls are coming from. So if you know, 2 people are saying, hey, open, 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 what I'm not going to do is this, and I know I've talked about this with people that I play with. I'm not going to run out and do one of these, right? Because what am I doing when I do this? Well, anybody, while there's 3 people dead, knows to take space. In this map in particular, the best space to take if you're playing defense is in this building in maps. So if I'm peeking this, that open guy knows I'm not going to like run out into the open space because I've got teammates that are playing this building. So there's no reason for me to run out and not be peeking anything else. It's good to be aware that he's open, right? Because what I'm not going to do is peek maps by doing this, right? Because all of a sudden now if he's there. But what I can do, even if I have an AR, is peek along this side, try to get an idea if anyone's here. Maybe you wait for your teammate to come behind you and watch single window. And then now you have a chance, okay, no one's peeking top maps unless there's a call out. And now I can play a little closer. I've got it covered to my left. And I can push this guy on stage. I can check right, all this stuff. Now I got the space. Now, you know, we're less worried about losing life and losing time. Because I'll probably get a trade. It'll be all right. You got to be careful about pushing this way anyway. This is a bad push spot to begin with. I usually go for, especially on this map, ooh, my sprint's being weird, higher percentage crosses. So if I know they're holding in the building and they're holding us in spawn, maybe I try and kill the guy that's hitting top maps, or presume there's going to be one, right? 3 people dead, usually the enemy, like I said earlier, will take a spot to hold spawn to get that easier kill. They might go 1 for 1, but what they've done is slow down the time, they've killed us sooner, and have given their defense more time to kind of set up. Makes it easier for them to get into the later time in that round if I'm playing controller hardpoint, and force me to kind of rush through things later in the game more than I should. So you kind of check for that. I mean, I would always, when you're running out of your own spawn, just be chill about it unless you know where everyone is, right? Because they really could be anywhere. So then you run down, then you have an option. I can go bench, or I can take this minimal sight window where there's only really 2-3 angles. Most people don't just sit and nerd all game and get underneath them. Or, I think the better option, slam door, see if I get shot from the truck, kind of check for the window, and then you just have to jump, boom. And if they peek me here, and I get kills, they're going to be out in the open. They're going to be a free beam to whoever's spawning in. And if they chase me, then I'm ready for the old drop shot prone, and they're going to be, you know, doing one of these, not really ready for the drop shot. So then I have this building, and that's a lot better. So I think a lot of the time what I do and other people do that's probably a mistake is leaving from spawn in panic of like, we need to score, we just tell a lot of people die, I'm gonna reach out this person that just killed me, and not considering where everyone else might be. Also, this is honestly, it's a really bad spot to push anywhere from. It's a good hold spot, I think. If you had an AR and you know no one's on top map, you can hold pretty good right here. But if you're trying to get space and 3 people have just died, you know, think about it, right? Maybe running through mid with the most amount of time, like, I'm kind of rambling, but I'll say this, right? Think about it for a minute. When there's 3 people alive and they know everyone on the other team is dead, they're probably going to be setting up, and probably 1 or 2 people are going to be holding the spawn lanes. And so from here to maybe about here full sprint, it's possible that someone's single window or double window looking towards the gate side, because they're like, I'm trying to figure out where they're going to spawn. But within like a second or 2 seconds, that player will see nothing at gate, and then will rotate to look at the other spawn to try to get intel. So in the time that I've ran from here to where there's going to be cover, or maybe living to cover right here, he's had time to look at 2 different lanes. But in the time that I have to run up here, maybe I can even shoot him a few times, or maybe he doesn't see me. The time to do this to here, he can only check 1 lane, right? So it gives him less of a chance to get intel, to give callouts, and it gives you less chance to get shot. I really feel like there's something wrong with my sprint right now. So that's kind of what I right. You check kill feed, you see where calls are coming from, and you kind of decide right away, okay, what lane am I going to take? What's the best way? And usually, every map has its own quick way of getting into their space. So you're not being spawn held, you're not giving them free life, all that stuff. Again, excuse me, let's say it's P1 hardpoint, or we're playing control on A. If we know we're attacking, we know we need to get A site. What we don't want to do is just constantly be running down bench, because look at this. Head glitch there, truck, double steps, double window, open, nerd, top maps if they have it, right? The only times where we want to be really running down these main lanes and doing stuff like this, I mean, even running out of this gate is death. Because if someone's sitting there, you literally, they see your entire body, and they can be in either window and start frying you, and then it's a really hard shot to hit somebody in a heady while you're fully exposed. So in all honesty, probably the best way to play this map, and there's other places like that in the game besides this map, but is to be like right here, or to do one of these, right? Get down to this door, maybe slam it open, you're covered, you're good to go, and then you can move up. But this lane, this push, is probably the most called out thing in the game, right? People know bench. Everybody knows bench. Everybody's looking at bench. Everybody expects people to spawn in and run this way, get to the back of the truck. I mean, that's the play. Or they go in here, right? Everyone does that. It's the most predictable thing. And so, as the offense, the thought process has to be, do I want to go, like, if I have to get to point, if we're running out of time, or we haven't capped it yet, or nobody's on it, I don't want the first initiation onto that site to be the most predictable call out. Because then if our whole team is planning to go A, and I'm doing this, or I'm running from here, and I manage to even get through, the call out's going to be they're going A, they're on bench, and now the entire team has a heads up for where we're going to be going. So that first initiator, that person that's kind of doing the moves to get to that site, may want to take cannon first, right? If I can take cannon, I can kind of do that. I can do the hop up. I can hold whoever's pushing A once my second teammate gets there. Or I can even go here, maybe check bottom art. Be aware that double steps is probably the first place they look off spawn, right? Because their spawn point is like back here most of the time. And so when we're taking A and we've just killed somebody, they're going to do one of these to look for a free kill. Or they're going to do one of these. Or, you know, they do one of these. Boom. I actually like to do this. So even if we're taking A sometimes, hold this play. Because I like to do that a lot. It's that short, again, they're not looking this angle. They're looking there and at cannon, maybe even holding their bench. But if I can get here, get a kill from someone spawning in, that's probably my best play. And so maybe having someone top map, be aware, okay, I'm third back. I'm the last. There's two people already playing this site. We have one person in the building. Instead of looking straight at them, since I'm in this neutral spot where, you know, I kind of have to watch everything. You might get someone pushing from close, you might get bottom art. But whoever peeks this is not going to be looking up at you unless you've been called out. They're going to be looking at sight to try and get a kill. So your job is, if you're third or fourth person, to stay kind of in this space, maybe even like peek bottom, get a kill, swing out, and just hold. Even if you get in a gunfight with somebody here and lose it, you've given your team 5 or 6 more seconds to not worry about this angle and play the double step side. So that, I mean, that's always a good thing to do. One thing Snug taught me is on control. You know, you do the run down, maybe jump down here, and then you're running even off the top. Now, right, I may not have been the first person to go to site, but I'm the first person up, and now I have this. So even if I have to, like, slam the door, there's always going to be someone just, like, sprinting right here. Or they're going to be top double steps, right? And all of a sudden, they're spawning in, kind of panicking. They're taking A, they're taking A, they're taking A, and then they're literally just, like, laying right here. Boom, dead. And there may be 1 or 2 people already pushing site right there, but you got to trust your teammate to get that angle and play for your job, which is not getting shot in the back, because you're honestly, if you're in the building, your life is more important than your teammates on site. If your teammate dies on site, ooh, Emerald's inviting me. He doesn't know that I'm recording a video. GG's. If your teammate dies on site, that's okay, because we still can get to bench and truck pretty easily. We can get from bottom map to truck pretty easily. What we can't always do is get into their building. So having that person alive, and let's say they're like, okay, I can't get to site to someone double window. Well, guess what? Right? I'm right here. So if they know there's someone in their building, they're calling boat room, they're calling double step, they're calling top U, whatever it is, 18. It's less likely for there to be someone just like standing like this, right? So even your presence in the building makes it much easier. Like not even you holding those areas, but just the fact they know you're there might make it easier for your team to get to a site. And of course, you know, once you get in here, play your game. Don't worry about objective. Just get kills, cause some recklessness, make them panic a little bit. Keep your numbers higher than theirs, right? A constant flow of like 4v2 with respawns is how you win a game. You might win, you know, you might lose some one-on-ones, but you're still doing pretty well. So in this map, I think building is key. I was actually talking to Emerald earlier. We were playing a game, and everyone died. So again, it's if we're all spawning in. We see the 3 reds, and I think he's holding like this, right? And the thought process is, you know, we have to get the timer's running low. I think we're playing control. We got to get the site capped. And maybe his thought process is also like, okay, I'm close to getting 1 tick so that when I do die, they can't completely, like they can't clear it. We still have 1 tick left. It's easier for later. But I think, and I could be wrong, again, I don't know everything, obviously. But, he's waiting for my lobby to become joinable? I don't even know what that means. I think there is a sense in which you're kind of like, you can decide to play the site. The problem is you got 3 of them alive. They know you're on site somewhere. And so you can't hold them all at once. They're probably just all going to rush you. What you could do is say, you know what? I'm not going to get this by myself, and I'm going to die. I would rather play a space to where I can get 1 or 2 more kills. Again, put more pressure on my location in this building so that teammates feel more freedom to rotate to me. I might do 1 or 2 people, but not everyone's set up watching spawn because they're like, we gotta wipe, all dead. And then they just like, you know, run up to this window and blah, 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 blah. So you gotta keep that pressure alive. And the better pressure when you're in like a 1v3 situation with a spawn game is to make the pressure somewhere that you can defend easily. If I'm on a site, it's like, well, they know where I am, right? But if I'm in their building, I'm running around, I'm kind of causing some chaos. Maybe I'm like doing this kind of thing, going double. Why is it glitching so bad? Going to double steps, like that kind of stuff. You're really making a bigger difference than just playing site as last up. Off rip. Oh, is he here? He's here. I think I should kick him. I'm gonna kick him. Teach him a lesson. Can I kick him? I can't. So as you're like pushing, usually you're gonna want to. Usually you're gonna want to like play in this space, like I said, which means this is like the best power position. You can have someone like double window watching. You could have someone single window if you're playing defense. But as you're getting kills on defense, you don't really want to be taking a ton of space, I think, on this area, because if I'm out here, again, there's not much place I can go. If someone calls open, I'm kind of stuck in open for a while. But if you're like here, you can play top, you can go under. Also, hopefully you have a teammate sitting. What is wrong with my sprint? Did he leave? I think he left. So there's just a lot of ways to play defense that are more passive, right? You gotta trust your angle, right? If I'm holding this, I kind of have to remember that my teammates are looking at the mini-map to see what areas are being held. So if I'm looking at the gate, my teammates are looking around and saying, okay, he's got gate, he's got bench, and he's theoretically also got top map. So if I'm holding this for like 5 seconds and I'm like, oh, you know what, I don't see anything, and then I go somewhere else. My teammates who are setting up based on where I'm holding are now kind of screwed because all of a sudden that space is open. Somebody could have gotten to truck. So you have to kind of look around and be like, okay, I'm not probably going to move unless I hear a call that I need to take or fill in a spot somewhere. Or yeah, if we're trying to go somewhere different. But right now, if I'm defense and we're playing hardpoint, we're playing control, holding this position and just getting call outs saying, hey, they're pushing bench, I have a few on me, going A, but not rotating to like single window and checking for this, because I have 3 other teammates that are spawning in that could easily check all of stables and play defense on close and open. So I don't like going over to single window is more of a greedy thing for like getting a kill, trying to catch somebody off guard. But I don't really need to catch somebody off guard, because if I do that, then I'm losing space. The other thing I think I kind of said, but I'll say it again, for hardpoint, I think we play, usually the team that I play with plays search pretty well. I would say for hardpoint, again, if you get sight, unless you have people like really close behind you that aren't dying in the kill feed, aren't dying behind you, pushing alongside you, you really shouldn't be committing to this, right? Because this game is all about time. If I'm the first one up, and I've gotten past double window, I've gotten past cannon, no one's watching me nerd, there's nobody double step, and I use that ability that I've stuck by, maybe if no one's even seen me, to lay down sight, I automatically am giving them intel on who is the farthest up, right? So everything they know about how far up we are into their spawn, into this building, is true comms, right? But if I've got like 2 people here, and I maybe tag sight or I don't touch it, and then I run into here, all they're seeing is 2 people running, they're calling sight, and that nobody has called for me. So in their mind, they're seeing the same 2 things, right? They're seeing sight being taken, they're seeing people run there, and so they're calling that out. The difference between the first person out taking that versus the second or third is that in the second situation, they're giving the same comms, but the second time, it's not actual truth. They're getting misled by the fact that the first person up didn't run immediately to sight. Now, you shouldn't like run by and then just like go sit here and like hold this spot. That's not helpful. If you run by, you need to be playing to try to catch somebody switching over to check A. Does that make sense? So, and nobody can answer me, obviously. But basically what I'm saying is think through, okay, maybe my team just died, somebody's open, somebody's single window, there's maybe somebody like stable, whatever. We're playing hardpoint, we're playing control, we have A site, we're trying to get A site. I'm running through, and I'm thinking about, okay, maybe we just killed 2 people. We killed one at stable, we killed one coming out of closed. Then we've got 2 people on site. I'm looking back behind me, I can kind of see that my teammate's arrow is looking this way, and I can see someone's like holding the back and watching bench. So I don't need to necessarily, I could, but I don't need to watch bench, and I don't need to watch this truck. So what I'm thinking through is, okay, they've just called out A, 2 people have died, so they're gonna, like I said earlier, they're gonna be coming in from the spawn, and my job is to, right, what are they gonna be doing? They're gonna be slow peeking, pre-aiming the truck, unless they have some sort of information that I am nearby. So my job would you probably don't want to peek right here because they're pre-aiming that exact spot you're going to be peeking, is to go under, play a little bit of this, pre-aim this for like a second, peek right, maybe people like to hold that spot and especially if you've been doing that play all game. But then running up here, trying to catch a single window kill, they might be peeking out double window to try and get an A kill, so you're checking all the spots. Going to here, you can kill the guy pretty easily if I'm peeking by this bush because it's really hard to see, I'll point it out, but doing this, you're definitely going to get the first shot. And he's either going to have to back off or die. right? So if I'm coming up here, I'm pre-aiming this. To snap to over there and get those kills is pretty tough. Can happen. And then I get that kill, and then I move in here, and now I know they're either back 18. I could hear them spawning and running if I'm sitting here. I know they could push double doors and go up to single window, which I can call if they spawn in that way. Or I'll be able to see that door right here.
Moving here.
Right? And call it double bottom art or whatever it is. The only thing I can't really see is below me. So I sit there for a second. If I'm in the building while they're taking A, I can call out double steps for them if I don't want to expose where I am while I'm still holding this area. Because I'll hear them running up those steps before they see the guy. And they can pre-aim it. And then, again, I can do the same. I can literally do the same thing. Because then he runs through here and he's like, not here, not here. I don't know where he went. And then it's like, oh, I'm right there shooting him in the back. And then he calls that out. And he's like, oh, my God, he's up in our ass and in boathouse. And then I'm like, okay, he probably just called it on boathouse. I'm going to drop down, hold this arch. I'm going to wait for them to sprint this way to try and clear sight. And then I'm going to pop out. Oh, my gosh, he's actually holding bottom art. And then at that point, my team has probably established a pretty good control. And so I might even mix it up completely. And I'm like, okay, now they're panicked that I'm in their building. So I'm going to start capping a different site and really throw them off. Right, so you just got to be creative with the space that you have if you're first up. If you get past their line of defense and you're not the only person, like, if there's people behind you that you know are getting sight, if the game's not over, don't feel like you have to get to sight right away, right? Sometimes we feel a temptation to be like, okay, it's a sight objective. I'm going to get a few points on it. Hard points can be a little different, but I would still say even at hard point, cap it. Somebody sprinting at you from double or watching this is going to be doing this, right? And they're going to be holding that tight corner and peeking late. So what I know is, unless they're looking under the truck, it's like one of these, right? Boom, 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 and then run back. Don't feel like you have to stay stationary on the site. Now, I don't love doing this because double steps could be a pretty substantial play. But yeah, just be aware of where teammates are. Don't be doing a window jump up if you're, teammate just got a kill in this area or just died. Someone might be watching it. I'm trying to think of what else to say. The big things to watch when you spawn in, again, minimap, where people are, and the kill feed, and trying to decipher, all right, what space do we, for sure have some presence in, and what are they going to be watching? For the most part, they're going to have eyes on that, on this, and on this. So you have to think through, okay, I see someone shooting me in double window. Maybe I'll use my nade here, get them off that, run underneath. And now all of a sudden, the play is to them. Because I'm under them, they have to go find me. Maybe that person sitting in here hears the bottom arc call, jumps out to the left, and now we have this whole space open to run into A from. And if someone is still up there, shooting my teammates and holding them, my sprints are going nuts, bro. Well, guess what? I say, hold on, I got a flank, right? Bop, 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 bop. Ready to go. Get double, and all of a sudden now we have a free take where their only threat, if my teammate's up on that double ramp or playing that area, my only threat is hop out, coming from closed, and then if somebody still is somehow left in maps. It's so much easier to pre-aim this and pre-aim that from this heady than to worry about this space and holding this angle where they could literally jump to any of these spots. So if you are that first up, right, don't be running over to hay or whatever to make a play. Stay in this area and really make sure that you're periodically checking this sprint space right here.
Moving here.
Because pretty much anywhere in this lane,
movement. Moving here.
In this little box, there's going to be people just sprinting because they know you're not peeking. Might even be laying down. And so they're just trying to get there as fast as they can. So keep seeing ghosts. It's your job as this loose player to be checking that space. And if they're calling it out, maybe try and find a way. Be like, okay, I know I just got to call it for truck, but I'm going to peek and check door first, or ramp first, and then I'm going to kill truck, and then I'm going to go back inside. I'm only going to get one kill. I'm going to switch. I'm going to keep my life alive. So that's that. For things like search, really I feel like there's a lot of instinctual stuff with search. There's a lot of just pre-match prepping on which angles to hold and where to take space. All of that's more coordinated. One thing I'll say about pushing from open side to site, stage, or hard point here is that that backstep people have a head glitch on you that they can easily just pull away from. So if I'm telling somebody, they can just drop below that and decide to peek whenever they want to. So if I know they're doing that, right, I'm going to play this tight angle, and I'm going to force them. I'm going to try to. One thing we don't do a lot is force a contest, right? So I see the contest. In my mind, I have to think, I've got teammates coming. What I want to do is stir them, force them to fight me outside of their safe space, right? There's really no need for me, unless we're like losing by a lot, to force a gunfight, and lose my life, to which point they have free sight or they can clear. What I'd rather do is force them out of that space to come kill me while my teammates are coming in from open, right? If I'm like backsteps, and my teammate's right here, I'm laying down, that person's going to be sprinting, looking down, right? They'll be like this. We're in a gunfight. They're like, he's backside, laying down. I'm going to be doing this. So yeah, I can snap to there. But for the most part, I might even be sprinting until like here, or mid-jump, looking this way. And so if you're here or there, boom. You may even hold an angle like this. Barely even showing the left corner, so they can't even see you. And then pop, 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 dead. And this person has a gun, right? So they are double shot there. Then you could reach out with your teammate, get the backstep skid that's head glitching together, trade them. You have that space, you have the sight. Oh, guess what? I just got 2 kills on backsteps. Unless they're animals, they're probably either going to be playing window, closed, or double doors, which is my first check, kind of like a quarterback going through his progressions. So then I'm like, okay, I've killed backsteps. I'm probably not going to go there. They're probably calling us out. They're going to try and loop around. I go back to heady. I look at double doors. Maybe I have a teammate kind of playing nerd, watching the rotation. And then I'm pre-fire. Oh my god, they're on stage pre-firing me. I don't know where they're going. And then it's like, okay, if I'm the guy still left over here and I hear those, like I see my teammate shooting a double, I'm like, okay, well, they're probably going to react to that. Think the backstep is open. They might jump out. Boom, 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 boom. Then I'm going to switch back, try to clear a little bit more, maybe hold the heady, so that when they 3-stack me from 18, all that. The other thing to keep in mind when you're on a site is what you're not seeing. In general, if there hasn't been a kill feed update in a little while, and you haven't seen anybody, that probably means 2 things. They're either flanking, or they're all rushing a site together or moving slowly, hand-holding in one particular space. So then you have to think through, okay, what information have we given them in the last, 10, 15 seconds? Or throughout this game, what's been our one weak spot? And are they going to try and exploit that, like, right this moment? So the big thing I always think about is, in this particular map, is Fountain, right? So if I'm like 35 seconds left on this, we've just killed 2 or 3 guys, maybe we've lost 1 person in a trade, and I'm counting like 5 seconds down, and I see no movement, I don't hear any calls, my immediate thought is this. They probably either spawned over there, or they're in this building and they're crossing to over there using the gate. They almost never, unless they're leaving the site, will run this way if we have control of the hard point. So they're always going to be going that gate side, maybe spawning back there. And so immediately you have to recognize they are rotating. And guess what? If that's a false call and they're not rotating and they're just like sitting here trying to get kills, that's fine. But what you don't want to do is let them get set up on those spots that are insanely hard to take. So you rush. The best spot probably is to take here for a second. Make sure there's nobody headying that rail. If there is, just like kind of mess around with him for a bit until you have backup. And the backup can kind of do one of these, get a different angle, fire from a different side. And then it's like take one thing at a time, right? Where's he going to be? I just killed a guy holding rail. Everyone's calling, the guy's probably calling rail on me. There's somebody on site probably. And then I know for sure there's not going to be anyone on steps. They're not going to be crazy enough, unless we have no pressure on the left, to run from site up the stairway. And I know there's usually a guy right there, right? So line it up, little jiggle maybe, or just a little blah, 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 and hope there's a guy ready to run up and get that same kill. Even if I die, now we have this backspace covered. We have another person behind me, and all of a sudden it's 2v2, and we've got the angles to kind of force him off this back puddle. one thing we see ourselves doing a lot is like, okay, there's one left on site, right? Let me chow him. Let me get this kid dead. Yeah, that's great. But again, kill feed, location of where we are, where they're going to be spawning. I might be running around this, and they could be just like sitting right here, shooting me in the back. So don't feel like you have to take site if it means losing your life, right? Don't put yourself in a sandwich just to get a neutral site. I think I do that a lot. All right, well, I'm sure I could probably say more. I think the biggest thing I said was just playing areas ahead of time, maybe getting some space before committing to a site. One of our best rounds ever, in my opinion, in Control was Embassy, or no, El Asilo, Control, B site. We were down, like, they had like 20 lives, we had like 4. And we waited until there was about 3 of them dead on the kill feed, and then we put pressure on site. And what that can do, just to explain why that's so effective, obviously you have everyone on, it's going faster. But the reason why you wait to take site is think about the urgency level that you have when you see red on a circle versus when it's just neutral blue, right? Think about the comms that you give when you die to a guy that's like just randomly sitting in a building versus somebody that's pushing site, right? He's like, okay, he's in our building. If there's nobody on site, my call is just gonna be like that. If I get killed by somebody that's like on site, maybe the site's red, he's like right by the window, he's holding it. He's like, he's on site, he's on window, right? A little more urgency, a little more like reactiveness. The whole team kind of looks over. But if you're hearing a lot of like, oh, they're just sitting in the building, like getting kills, the first thing you might do is try to find them in the building. At which point you put yourself in a box. And you don't really think, okay, they're playing the objective, right? You're not really putting yourself in a mental space to retake the objective, because to you it's like, well, there's not really a risk here. So I'm going to go try to flank. I'm going to go... It's like, oh, they're not capping. I'm going to try to rotate around A and go to B through their spawn to try to get some kills. What you don't realize is that all 3 people are on the same page. We're waiting for a kill, and once we get like 3 or 4, we're committing. And at that point, the panic level is like, oh my gosh, they've just capped 1 tick in like 5 seconds, and everyone is just sprinting, right? And so then you've got all 4 people, maybe 3 people, just setting up, holding each angle. You get a pick, they give a call out, and there's frustration and panic on all ends of their team. So that's one of the better things to do is really get set up, maybe put some pressure on early, but not worry a ton about being perfect, getting all the points right away. There are definitely a handful of times where you have to give the person with a gun in the SMG who's playing really well a lot of space and not force them to play objective. That being said, this is directed at everyone. If you feel like you're having a bad game, yeah, like be aware of that and realize, okay, maybe my awareness is low right now. I'm not super snappy. I'm missing some shots. Maybe my role is just kind of holding a particular lane throughout the game and giving comms on it. Maybe I can be up here. I didn't even know that. This is kind of dirty, to be honest, for defense. I can just lay right here, and they won't even see me until I'm right on top. Anyway.
So, and you only get like 1 chance at that, obviously, but it's a dirty play for like 2 free kills.
So be aware of that and think to yourself, okay, maybe I'm playing offense. My gunny isn't great right now. I probably shouldn't be running through their spawn where I have to be running around a lot and snapping around. Maybe I should be playing top maps and holding one particular window until we get sight and then switching to a different spot. Or maybe I should be running in kind of here and just like chowing this person, playing a little bit with this guy. If I'm losing that gunfight a lot, then I choose my best angle, which is top room. And I play top map, kind of put some frustration in their mind of like, okay, this kid's just literally only sitting at top map and getting AR kills. Let your other teammates do the stuff that might require a bit more SMG play, maybe some more, they have more caffeine in their system, maybe they just ordered some coke, whatever it is. All right. And we talked that thing through, right? It's like, okay, I'm not really being effective. Emerald, can you jump in the building and play that spot? I'll work on playing site more. It's just small stuff like that. Again, please respond with any comments or questions or challenges, or you didn't make any sense, or you rambled for too long and nothing made any sense. I think some of this stuff makes sense to me, but if me running around and not fighting anybody and not talking about gameplay doesn't really help you, then I'll try to talk about gameplay. I think I have some that I recorded from a VOD earlier today, so I might also look back on that and critique myself a little bit with some games from Emeralds and playing with him. And yeah, you can also get on top of this guy on the horse and lay down if you ever want to be in a really weird spot that's super obvious. Yeah. Well, that is all. Can you get up here? No. Okay. Alright, now I would also say never do this. This is, unless you're playing like search and you think someone's going to be like running by, you have no intel, and once you get called out, you're done. So just don't play this. Don't play this. Don't play those dead spots, right? Always be in a position where you can relocate, you can get intel, and you're not just like running through the open for more than 2 seconds. Again, the longer you sprint through a certain area, the more times it can check something else and then recheck where you are while you're running through it, right? And so I think that's sometimes why people are like, he's looking straight at me, or why did he know I was there? Well, you gave him 2 seconds, 3 seconds for him to be able to look somewhere else and then say, yeah, there's no one there. I'm going to switch over to this spot. And so, yeah, he doesn't know you're there, but the way you chose to cross gives him a lot of time to find out if you are. So just keep that in mind. Yeah. Hopefully this was helpful in some way.